like to go ahead and open up the Tuesday, October 1st, 2019 Warrenton Board of Alderman meeting. If you would, please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us. All right, I'd like to do the introduction of Jay Young as the aquatics manager. Started on 9/19 at $40,000 a year.
This is Jay. He started a week and a half ago, and he's going to be helping out at the pool, supervising the lifeguards and coming up with schedules and anything else we can come up with him to do.
All right, the next item will be the consent agenda.
We have the regular meeting minutes from September 17th, 2019.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Shelby, second by Alderman Schultz. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shelby?
Yes.
Alderman Dyer is absent this evening. Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 with one absent. Next, we'll have hearing from the public. If you have anything you'd like to discuss, we ask that you step to the mic, state your name, or podium, state your name. We'll give you 5 minutes to speak. Not seeing anybody, we'll move on. Next will be Board of Alderman comments.
Mayor, I talked to several people yesterday morning and this morning, and they were really pleased with the way their organization, the way our crews operated the fall festival. It was they said it was very successful. There was a lot of vendors. There was a good selection. So I was very happy about it.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. There again, I'll go ahead and add on to that. Not only did a lot of people contact me on Sunday, but I also had a family reunion, and everyone who came through town was aware of the fall festival and stated how clean it was. I'm just going to tell city crew and whoever else helped, thank you. That's not the first year we've had somebody comment about how we have a huge event and then the town looks very clean the next morning. So I know lots of my family wanted it passed on that they were amazed that it just looked like nothing had ever really happened that evening, and you don't see that in a lot of towns. So thank you to the city crew for what they did the night before. They guys, if you're not aware, our whole crew within the city, doesn't matter what department they're in, they're involved, and they really do put a lot of effort into that fall festival. So thank them when you see them, because they spend a lot of time away from their families, and that whole day they do nothing but work on that event. So we appreciate them.
Sure. If I could go back for 1 minute on to add just to the comments, you rarely hear something good, like the bands usually when the thing's over they don't have a lot to say, but I came in here after the concert and Dana was here working, and but they talked about what a good group of people it was to work with, everybody from Brandy to Dana to the police that were up by the stage and everything. So coming from the band, that's, they took the time out to compliment the city on that too. So something you don't hear too often, I think. A lot of times they're in too big a hurry to get out of here, and maybe too aloof to even consider, think about the people, but these guys really did, and so I think that's adds to our excellent staff and everything when you hear it from somebody like that. So,
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from folks from St. Charles Community College on Proposition J.
Thank you and good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to address the Board of Aldermen this evening and the Mayor. My name is Todd Galbiers and I'm the Vice President for Administrative Services and Chief Operating Officer for St. Charles Community College. I'm here tonight to provide some information about Proposition J, which will be on the November 5th ballot for residents in the Warren County R3 and the Wright City R2 school districts. If I may, the ballot reads, shall the St. Charles Community College District, also known as the Community College District of St. Charles, Missouri, annex the properties located geographically in the Warren County R3 school district and Wright City R2 school district effective the first day of January 2020. If this question is approved, revenue from the annexation will be used to provide in-district tuition for Warren County residents taking classes from St. Charles Community College, support for the establishment of a Warren County Regional Technical Education Training Center, support for the addition of programs and services for Warren County residents provided by St. Charles Community College. If this question is approved, the overall property tax rate in Warren County property owners in the affected school districts will increase by the addition of a community college tax levy of 16.66 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. In addition to the ballot language, I'd briefly like to share some other details with you. The college agreed nearly 2 years ago to become the educational partner for Warren County. This was at the request of area leadership who asked the college to aid in their efforts to support employers and attract quality businesses to Warren County. In April 2018, Warren County was officially moved to SCC's extended service area. So what does this mean if Warrenton becomes part of SCC's taxing district? How does it affect your residents? Here are some facts to answer those questions. The cost of the new tax, again at 16.66 cents per $100 of assessed valuation, equates on the average home value of $160,000 in Warren County to about 98 cents per week, $4.25 per month, or $51 per year. If approved, the tax rate is not expected to increase in subsequent years from the 16.66 cents. In fact, it's likely to decrease as property values increase due to Missouri's Hancock Amendment. Every dollar raised in Warren County will stay in Warren County. The SEC Board of Trustees documented its guarantee of this by passing a resolution confirming this at a spring 2019 meeting of the Board of Trustees. Approval of this issue will put Warren County in line with some $6 million in grants from the state of Missouri that will help purchase program equipment as well as provide funds to support a permanent building for the Regional Technical Training Center. Academic programs that will be offered initially include advanced manufacturing, transportation and logistics, agriculture technology, and industrial maintenance and controls. The Regional Technical Training Center, and I'll emphasize regional, will serve not only the students from Warren County, but as well as surrounding counties of Lincoln, Montgomery, and western St. Charles County. Residents who attend classes at the center in Warren County will receive in-district rates for credit classes. That's a difference of $53 per credit hour, so for a student taking a full schedule of classes, 15 credit hours, that difference adds up to about $800 per semester. High school graduates are not the only students who will benefit from the Regional Technical Center. Adults 25 years of age and older who do not have a bachelor's degree may be eligible for the new Missouri Fast Track Grant Program that will provide scholarships to eligible residents. The Fast Track Workforce Incentive Grant is a new financial aid program for non-traditional students that addresses workforce needs by helping students pursue a certificate, a degree, or an industry-recognized credential in the area designated as high need. More information about the Fast Track program can be found at the college's website or from the Missouri Department of Higher Education. Following the approval of the ballot issue, leaders of Warren County would work with the college to determine the initial location, likely a storefront location or something similar, to begin offering technical training and academic programs as early as spring 2020. The college will work with an advisory committee made up of Warren County stakeholders to determine the best location for the permanent regional technical training center. Thank you again for this opportunity to speak with you this evening. I would like to introduce a member of the community and a leader in Warren County who has been working with the college, and that's Leon Bustecker. Leon?
Thank you for allowing me to speak a little bit here. I'm Leon Bustecker, and I co-chair the exploratory committee for the technical college with Ricky Gastorf. I think it was a little over 2 years ago that I was approached by the Economic Development Council to be part of this committee to explore this opportunity. My experience here in Warren County goes back to, I think, 1978. I first started teaching agriculture classes here and taught through 2006. For the last 10 years, I pretty much lived in the shop with the students, doing welding skills and basic machine skills and things like that. And when I was approached about this concept of bringing technical education to Warren County, it got me thinking about all the recruiters that I had come into my classes and visit with the students from Nashville Auto Diesel and UTI in Indianapolis, Wyotech in Phoenix, Arizona, and of course State Technical College in Lynn, and visit with the students, try to recruit them, knowing that they were good candidates for technical training. You know, and on a good year, I think maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of the students out of maybe 75 or 80 that I had in class would choose that route. When yet I realized, and it was kind of disappointing to me, that there were probably a dozen to 15 in every graduating class that would have been ideal candidates for technical training, but because of the distance, the travel, the cost, expense like that, they just chose to go another route. And in many cases, you know, college was not an option for these students, or at least a viable option. So when I had the opportunity to be part of this project as a lifelong educator, I knew that I had to step up and be part of this. We knew early on with this initiative, the breadth and the depth of this, getting a technical training facility put in place, it was going to take a collaborative effort of educators, political leaders, and concerned citizens to bring the concept to a reality. You know, and when people ask, you know, what impact would it have on the community, I think all you have to do is drive down I-44 towards Springfield. When you get just past Rolla and headed towards Waynesville, all the way to the Oklahoma line, all the way south to Branson, you see Ozark Technical Institute and their presence in there. I think all the communities down there that partner with them to provide training would tell you that an investment in a technical training facility will give dividends beyond what you can imagine. If you look at Springfield, Missouri, we know it's a college town. We think of Missouri State, we think of Drury, we think of the Baptist College, but the college that's growing and expanding and can't hardly keep up with the providing the services they need to is Ozark Technical College in Springfield. So I think that's kind of the model that we've been looking at with St. Charles Community College, and that's the vision, and we hope that we can bring it home. If anybody is interested in helping share the story of a technical college, we're meeting every Wednesday at Boones Lake Regional. We're looking for volunteers to help share the story. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one for, and maybe this is for Leon, but hasn't, like a lot of the high schools, have they gotten away from, when I was in high school, you had shop and you had welding, you had auto, you had drafting and all that. Have a lot of the high schools gotten away from that, and is that has more than pushed the need for more technical schools outside? Is that a true statement, so to speak?
At the EDC banquet a couple of weeks ago, I'm sitting between the manager at Coca-Cola and CertainTeed, and the comment was made that they felt that part of the problem we have today is that we've lost the industrial arts in the high schools. The focus for the last 30 years has been college prep. So I don't blame the school system because that's the direction we've taken. But I can tell you, when you visit with Governor Parson, he will tell you that skilled trades and technical trades are the answer. When you look at today's student debt that's out there, $1.5 trillion of student debt, more than credit cards total, you realize that individuals need to get educated and trained for a job without expending a lot of dollars. If you want to go to MU today to get a 4-year degree, you're talking $125,000 probably. You can go to trade or technical school for considerably less than that. You can get out, the $40,000 right here that you paid your aquatics manager. That's what a beginning teacher goes out for. So what we're trying to do in the trade and technical area is to identify those skills that are in high demand in whatever the required training is. There's some things we can do in high school, I think, if we're able to align with St. Charles Community College. Maybe we can do some junior, senior courses, prepping those to transition in and dual credit into a technical training facility. So having that post-secondary educational partner, I think, is the answer, because when you look at graduation requirements and what it takes to go to college to get a degree, we really can't water anything down, or we can't substitute. But technical training is the shift that we're seeing in education right now, for sure.
I'd like to speak to the other gentleman. You mentioned the tax rate, and you said that it would never go up, but it would go down. So how do we know the rate won't go up? Is there a need or a way that it would have to come back to the taxpayers if the rate goes up?
It would. So the voters will approve a tax rate. No, thank you. The voters will approve a tax rate, and it can't inch up on its own without going back to the voters for that. What we're experiencing in St. Charles County, I think, provides a nice parallel, because the assessed value in the county continues to rise as there's new construction and value goes up. Our tax rate in the county is going down because of the Hancock Amendment. And so that's likely the situation that would occur out here as well, is that the rate gets set at a certain level, and then as the impacts of the assessed value increasing, that rate will be ratcheted down by state law.
Another question. I know the people I talked to who voted against the last proposition were concerned about the facility being basically in the Warrenton area, since we're the largest population base in the county, and there was no guarantee on the ballot that would happen, or something would even happen in the county. So I think they were concerned about that. I thought it was interesting that your board did passed a resolution that the money coming into the county from the county would stay in the county. Is there a reason that wasn't put on the ballot?
Well, the ballot language. Sorry, I've got the ballot language. We followed the advice of our attorneys, and so it's actually changed this time around for November, where we are a little more descriptive at the ballot box, where some folks, maybe just hearing about it for the first time. But the April election was very concise, and it didn't provide a lot of additional information that would have answered some questions like that. And so when our board heard that there was some concern about the funds being reinvested back in the county, that was a no-brainer for them. They said, absolutely, let's give them a resolution. Let's show them our commitment to reinvest those dollars generated from Warren County back into Warren County. So that is absolutely the plan. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from City Administrator Terry Thorne.
My first item to do this evening is to give you information related to the proposed additions for the Main Street Overlay District. So items from the 2015 International Property Maintenance Code that we adopted overall a few months back. We have discussed, as we have talked about revitalizing our downtown, adding more stringent code to hopefully bring the appearance of those buildings down in the downtown district up to a higher level than what they have been in the past, and better than what we are requiring in maintenance code section. We would add back specific areas that would address some of those things that we were specifically concerned about, and that the Warrenton Downtown Association Board of Directors also expressed concerns over these particular types of things. They fully support making this change. In fact, they have volunteered to be in the forefront when we're ready to roll this out, with putting it out there with all of the downtown businesses that are in this Main Street overlay district. So I'm not going to go through all of the specifics of this, but more to hit some generalities, so you have some idea. Areas like protective treatments, meaning the exterior surfaces of doors and windows. I think originally it says that what we have in our code for overall of the city is that they have to be maintained in good condition. This will go further to say that they have to be free of decay, they have to be painted, there can't be peeling paint, those types of things with those. The siding and masonry joints, which is an area that specifically the WDA board talked about, making sure that the tuck pointing is good on all of those buildings downtown that would need that the metal surfaces aren't rusted or corroded, that those are covered with something that inhibits that. So really that area is talking about the exteriors being covered with protective treatments that are not peeling or rusted, that areas of it are missing, those types of things. Also exterior walls not having holes and breaks and loose and rotted materials. For all of those exterior wall type structures. The same with decorative features like cornices and trims and wall facings. That would be on the exteriors of those structures downtown. Chimneys and towers being in good repair and making sure that any exposed surfaces that are metal or wood are protected from the elements, and that they have weather coating materials applied. Windows, skylights, and door frames, that they are kept in good repair and that they're weather tight, and that the glazing materials are free from cracks and holes that would let moisture get in. Overhang extensions, metal awnings, marquees, signs, those types of things, that they're in good repair, that they're properly anchored, and that they're in sound condition, and again protected from elements and rust and decay by some type of weatherproof materials. The other thing that we added in here was additional causes for inspection. So the plan would be that once this is rolled out in January of 2020, then within the first 90 days, the building department would complete an inspection in all of the downtown the Main Street overlay district. Once that was completed, then on an annual basis, those buildings would be re-inspected. This doesn't really fall into the same situation as the occupancy permit, because you could have someone who lives with their business in the building for multiple years over and over, rather than perhaps a rental unit or something like that, where the inspection occurs when there's a change of occupancy. So we tried to think about those things in advance, and how once we get the buildings brought up to the level that is desired, how to make sure that's maintained regularly. So what we do with this, if you recall, is the same as we did with the 2015, all the other 2015 codes. We need to put it for inspection for a 90-day period, and then at the end of that 90-day period, then there would be an ordinance for you to pass that actually puts it in place. So the approval we ask for you tonight is approval to move forward with putting this out there for inspection by anyone who cares to look at it, and then we would bring it at the appropriate time for the ordinance to be passed. I've also sent the same material that you have in your packet to the WDA board and asked them for any comments that they might have specific to the language that's contained here.
One question I would have, Terry, on this, and I'm not sure if it's addressed or not, but for instance, I think at one time we talked about these being grandfathered, some of these things. Take, for instance, the old Sportsman's Bar. It's been closed now for several years or whatever. Now, if the owner of it, the same owner, wants to open that, does he has to go through all this too? It doesn't, in other words, he's not grandfathered in, or it wouldn't require a new owner or somebody else opening it in order to meet these things?
No, this would apply to every building. Sorry. This would apply to every building that's downtown, whether or not the business is currently open, whether or not there's a current occupant, whoever the current property owner is would be required to bring those structures up to this level. You're welcome.
Yeah, I also had a couple of questions. Is this inspection internal and external? I just want to make sure. So in other words, when we go into a building, like on the residential side, we had to rewrite the ordinances to allow us to go into the inspection. So when we do this first annual inspection, are they going to be inside the buildings looking at structural integrity and safety issues, or is this only external?
At this point, it's only external property maintenance. We can easily add, if that's the direction that you'd like to go, we could add those same internal property maintenance things that we just added to our code for the occupancy inspection, because those are limited particularly to safety type items. So we easily could do that if that's the desire.
Well, I mean, from my perspective, I know it sounds burdensome, but when you have buildings on Main Street that are next to each other, a fire issue in one building can become a fire issue to the other building. So I think that's something we should look at, not in the initial process, but I think eventually we need to address that, because I know if I was investing in a building, I'd want to make sure the building attached to me was also in as good a condition as what I'm trying to do in my building. So I think it's something we need to think about initially.
If that's the desire of the board, we easily can add those into this, and without too much trouble. We already have it written. So it's just a matter of adding it to what's being considered for adoption.
And to just add to Gary's point, I would think that the or the downtown business people, be it the WDA or whoever, I would think they would want to go along with that too, wouldn't they? Just for the fact, I know you said they've agreed with all these changes, but if we also throw in the interior part of it, they shouldn't really be opposed to that, would they? Because I think Gary's point, if you're right next door, you'd want the electrical and everything in your neighbors to be up to snuff if you got to put yours up to code.
My perception, based on the meetings that I've attended with them, at least the WDA board, is that their preference is to bring all the buildings up to the best possible level of maintenance that's out there. The individuals who are on that board, it's very obvious by looking at the buildings that they own that that's their desire. I certainly can ask that question and see what kind of feedback that we would get from them, if that's what you'd like for me to do.
I mean, I think it should be something we should do, because, I mean, the investment isn't just on the exterior, it's also on the interior. And if you have a building that maybe isn't structurally safe, but we walked on the outside and look good, I think we also need to have some comfort level that it's structurally, secure or stable, anyway, from my perspective.
What I would propose then is that we go ahead and include that in what we're posting. Because if we decide there's elements of that we want to back off of, we can always take it out. But we need to post it if we're going to consider putting it in place. Is that accurate, Chris?
Absolutely. That's what the 90-day period really is for.
All right, the other question I have for Counselor is, the ordinance is specific enough that it can miss something. We can't
obviously in the ordinance touch everything that could possibly happen. So is there remedies that we have if somebody has an issue that we didn't cover, that, you know, the logical person would walk by and go, hey, this is a problem, it should be fixed, or do we then have to continuing adding piece after piece in the ordinance, or is it written broad enough that gives us some latitude?
The, do we have to continue to go back and reinvent the wheel every time? No. We have other tools in the toolbox. We have nuisance codes and whatnot, dangerous buildings that we've used for some of the downtown issues. To be honest with you guys, we're doing the 90-day posting on overabundance because this is in a separate portion of the code, but after we adopt this, adding additional provisions or tweaking the language, which is typically what we've done with property maintenance, I mean, we tinker with it to make sure it fits what we need in our community, will be fairly simple, and we went through that when we adopted 2015, I think it was, residential codes, and we kind of came up with what we wanted. We've gone back and tinkered with that and made it a little bit tighter, and then did the same thing with residential inspections. So, you know, there are other tools in the toolbox to deal with more immediate safety issues, Alderman Ock, but also we will go and kind of do the same review process to make sure we kind of get it right and have the language we need for more broader general safety issues, but also the specific things that we can really enforce some of the complaints that some of the downtown business owners have lodged.
I didn't see this in here, I'm sure it's in here. So once we do the annual inspection, is there a time frame for them to comply? Because there may be some buildings like the old bar that's been closed for years that may require a little bit more time to do this. But I'm, without reading the whole thing, is there a time frame to have?
Well, we typically set the time frames by policy, so it's very black and white, and nobody can say that, you know, this person got treated differently than us. We always put language in any time frame for any of our code inspectors to give them some discretion to work with people that may be, you know, may not have the money to complete the repair, or they may be ill or sick or whatnot. So we try to work that in based on the experience. So yeah, that will be part of a policy that will be probably consistent with the policies we've done for residential property maintenance and inspections, and also for the residential occupancy permit.
Because I would think that would be probably one of the first questions we'll get is, if I don't pass inspection, how long do I have to take care of it?
Yeah,
that would be the most logical.
I think we're fairly generous. I know not everybody possibly watching that would agree with us, but we really try to give people and take into consideration their circumstances, but also be consistent with everybody.
So with that, Counselor, I'm just going to ask, since we are posting it, first of all, do we need a formal vote on the acceptance or the acceptance of the posting for the 90 days?
Yeah, we would ask you guys have a formal vote, so we have the approval on the record that you guys approve posting of it, and we'll add that information in that Terry noted.
So adding the internal to the external doesn't require a separate vote if we add it?
No, we'll just, this is just making the public aware that we're going to post it, and it's being overly cautious.
I make a motion that we would post the additions to the 2015 International Property Maintenance Code for the overlay district on Main Street, and then we would include in that something related to interior inspection and addition.
Second.
Okay. The first motion was made by Alderman Ock, second was Alderman Shaw. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Alderman Shaw Harvey?
Yes.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Dillon?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 to go ahead and proceed. One absent.
That's all I have for you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Next, we'll hear from Finance Officer Dana Belaska.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. You have before you this evening a list of claims for your approval. They total $693,688.94. Were there any questions related to that list of claims?
Is the payment to Boonslick the finishing up of the grant process that had been delayed for quite a while? Is that what that is, the last payment?
A portion of it is related, this is actually related to their, like membership fees. And there's another one in there for some meetings that we paid our share of. I believe that the actual dollar amount for the,
Yeah, I'm just looking at, there's a payment here for $4,058, and that's why I was wondering what that was. Okay, all right.
Any other questions?
And I guess, is this the final payment for Banzi on the sidewalk thing? Okay, thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $692,688.94.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Delloy, second by Alderman Miller. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 with one absent.
Can I just make a comment? I'm looking through the bills here. I was amazed this year, I don't know who did the advertising for this. I was amazed, I work in St. Louis every day, how many people came up to me and seen the ads and said, oh, something's going on in your town. So whoever did it was effective, because a lot of people noticed it. I don't know if it got them out to come out, but at least they were, sometimes you put a billboard up and you don't know if people really read it. But in this case, people were, wherever it was at, they were seeing that, they were commenting on it, so.
We actually utilized geofencing this year, so it kind of hit where people were located. So if you were located, like, for instance, at the Festival of Little Hills, it advertised to those people that went out to those festivals and stuff. So it worked out really well.
And was this the first year that we were in like Go Magazine with Post-Dispatch? Because I don't remember being in there in the past, but I had somebody mention that. I saw it in there, and somebody else mentioned they saw it in there too. So, but was that this the first year we did that?
No, we've done that before through the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Alderman Ock, I'm sure you're familiar with geofencing, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so 2018, but we used it.
I think I bought in on the original public offering of that.
Yeah, I have no clue what geofencing is, but thank you. I'll look it up. I'll Google it.
Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
It is purely bliss. I'm sorry, Dana, go ahead.
you have before you the financials for the month of August 2019. So again, that's our second month in our fiscal year. You'll notice that the general fund revenues are about 50,000 above budget. So one of the key ones you'll see is the grant revenues. So what was unplanned there was the 59,000, the Hickory Lick project that we had finished up with Boone Slick. So we did get our final grant funds from that. So that was $59,000 that we received in revenue. Sales tax is about 3% above budget, or its impact to the general fund is about $11,000 right now. So then there's some other ones that are just slightly below budget, but overall 50,000. In the expense categories for the general fund, operating expenses are about 133,000 below budget, and about 84,000 of that is related to personnel costs. So again, vacancies and such. Supplies and maintenance pretty well make up the difference then. In the water and sewer fund, you'll notice that revenues are about overall. Water and sewer sales related to commercial and residential sales are just slightly below budget, where the actual connection fees are about 26,000 above budget. So those new housing starts, again, the connection fees related to those. In the operating expense, they're about 77,000 below budget, and 30,000 of that related to personnel cost, and the balance maintenance and supplies that just haven't been spent yet this year. Were there any questions regarding those August financials?
Does the comment on E3 need to be adjusted? If this is saved, because it says the total water is $40 million below budget. Okay, we filed the records away a few years from now. We're going to go, what was that about? So, okay.
Yes, I will make that change.
Thank you.
Overall, it's correct.
Right. I thought.
Okay. Yes, I'll make that change to that top note.
Thank you.
Dana, I'd like to apologize ahead of time. That timer was supposed to be on our counselor's mic, but obviously it got put on yours. He's the only one we have to limit when he talks too much. Thank you, Dana. Next person we'll hear from Lisa Kramer, our aquatics director.
Good evening. You have in front of you, I believe, a aquatic report that I will be sharing with you each month as to what our membership passes sell each month and how many punch cards we do and summer passes and things like that. In looking at this report, I've noticed that the 10 punch cards seem to be very popular. And we sell a lot of those, and so Jay and I are going to start looking at how we can transfer those punch card holders into season pass holders or year-round pass holders. And the same thing with the senior passes. Those seem to be the highest population of passes that we're selling, so we're looking to create more senior programming so that the retention of those passes will continue for this following year. Other than that, we do have a new sign banner that we put up that we used at the Fall Festival that is now on the street corner, and we're hoping that that'll draw more attention to the pool as well. Are there any questions?
I don't believe so.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next we'll hear from Public Works Director Guy Jeevers.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. First time I want to touch base on is the stormwater improvement on Roosevelt. That's going to begin October 14th. So I just like to inform you on that. And then on my monthly report, we did some concrete street repairs, some sidewalk repairs, and we were out flushing fire hydrants, and we had fire hydrant that needed to be fixed from flushing the hydrants, so we repaired that and had a water main break on the North Outer Road. And we had 10 sewer calls over the rain, so we had to deal with that. So any questions on them?
Give us just a minute. We may have one. All right, I guess we don't have one.
Next item I have is approval for Cochran Engineering proposal for stormwater improvements on Steinhagen Road from Flora Avenue to Wabash for the amount of $50,600. Budget amount was $51,000. We're wanting to get the engineering completed this year so we can go out for bid the following year. And this information is coming off of our stormwater report. So that way we don't run into the fiasco that we ran into on Roosevelt. So I need approval for that one. And then approval for Cochran Engineer for stormwater improvement for McKinley Avenue from Flora to Wabash for the amount of $55,850. Budget amount was $56,000.
Just kind of curious, when they get to doing the project on McKinley, is there going to be sidewalks on both sides? Because the west side has got some real big dips, and because do you know what their perceived ideas on how to address that?
On McKinley? Not at this time. That way we'll get the engineering, and then we'll get with them and look at what the goals are and what we need to do on that. That way it gives us time to figure out what we need and actually give us a budget amount that will be closer than what we got to get done for the next year's budget. So I need approval for them to.
Okay, Guy, if you get approval for the engineering and you want to get the engineering done by the end of this calendar year,
Yes, I can get the engineering completed, so we'll have enough, so we'll know for the next budget year exactly how much we're going to need for that project.
so when do you
Wait,
when do you project these projects to start?
for the engineers
After you get the engineering.
It's not calendar year, it's the
I know,
fiscal
but
year.
will it be 2021?
We won't know until the engineering's
Okay.
completed.
and
Because I know
approval.
we'll have some questions about it, so. Gary will probably get more than I will, but.
I think I'm already getting questions now. Yeah, I mean, I think this is something that's long overdue, and I'm glad the city's putting an effort to get this done. I think the residents there will appreciate it. So I would make a motion that we approve the.
Hang on a second. Just want to make sure. Just want to make sure nobody else has any questions about this before we go to making a motion. Because it seems like there are a lot of questions. All right.
Make a motion that we approve the engineering proposals for Cochran Engineering in the amounts of $50,600 and $55,850.
Can we break this up into two? We need to break it up into two.
I knew that.
I would second the motion.
Motion made by Alderman Ock, seconded by Alderman Miller. Roll call vote.
Alderman Ock?
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Schultz?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 with one absent. There's another question on the floor. Just hang on. Okay.
Okay, I know what I was going to bring up a while ago when you talked about the fire hydrants. The fire hydrant on Southeast Street, and I don't know if you know, when you went through the repainting of some of them or something, but there's one there. It's right across from Janet Todd's house. You may have missed it because it's camouflaged. It's got all the vines growing over it and everything. So I don't know if I know you haven't flushed it because the vines are still there and they hadn't been painted. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Take care of it.
Before we adjourn, I just want to compliment whoever put together the newsletter. I got a lot of people who said it was extremely informative. It looked really professional and well done. So whoever did that, and whatever team it was or individuals, good job.
Yeah, the one comment I got about it was they didn't have to read anything that the alderman had in there about repeating everything. So it was very good, very informative.
I like that comment. So I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to close the regular Board of Alderman meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Shelby, seconded by Alderman Schultz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.